Hi, I'm Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of November. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, enjoying the colder weather. I never enjoy the colder weather. There's snow out right now. Not a fan of it personally. It's coming up to the end of the year, so I've mostly been just trying to play every 2025 game that I'm interested in that I can get my hands on. So lots of stuff that I've been playing recently. There's also been 2 new episodes of Point and Drink Adventure that came out in November. One was a very special episode, well, they're both special episodes. Alex from SNES Drunk, which you've probably heard of. It's a great channel where he talks about Super Nintendo as well as other retro games. He hosted a game of Family Feud for Michelle and I. So he polled his audience and our audience and asked them a bunch of questions about games and other media. And Michelle and I went head to head, and it was a lot of fun to record. And that episode is up over on the Point and Drink Adventure channel. And then the second episode, it was technically a normal episode, but Michelle and I were in the same place. I went to the States at the middle of November for Michelle's wedding, which was a ton of fun. Her reception was excellent, very chill, and we also did karaoke till 2 in the morning, which I don't know what else you could want from a wedding. So we recorded a very tired and hungover episode of Point and Drink Adventure the following day. So it's, maybe a little more low-key than normal. We were drinking mocktails because we had had more than enough alcohol the previous night. But if you haven't seen either of those episodes, go check them out on the Point and Drink Adventure channel. So when it comes to the games that I was playing in November, I played a lot of games. The first thing that I finished was Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which I played on Xbox. This is by the Chinese Room. And it was pretty disappointing, I will have to say. I'm not going to say too much about Bloodlines. I know people have been waiting for my opinions on it for a while, but I'm literally in the middle of writing my script for it. I was planning to do just like a casual chatty video on it, but then I went and put together an entire cosplay, and I thought, okay, well, if I've put this much effort into this, I should probably actually write a script. So I'm about 50% through the script. We'll hopefully be recording a video sometime in the next week. But yeah, basic thoughts. It's not a good Bloodlines 2. It's not a role-playing game at all. It is a fairly fun vampire detective story, but then it's wrapped in some other mechanics that I don't particularly enjoy. So I've got a lot of opinions, positives, negatives. You'll just have to wait for the full review for that. Lily's joining us. It's a special day. You never sit up here with me. You always sit under the table and shake the camera. But she's here. Yay. Wanna lay down? The next game I finished is called Rue Valley, another brand new release. This came out on PC and consoles. I played it on PC. It is by Emotion Spark Studio. I actually did a sponsored video on it, which if you haven't checked out, you can go do that. The algorithm did not like that video. It did not do very well at all. But this is an isometric narrative RPG. It definitely got some buzz around the Disco Elysium crowd. I would say it's fairly different than Disco Elysium in terms of tone and what you're doing. I enjoyed it overall. It has a very cool concept where you're a man who is trapped in a 47-minute time loop. You're out sort of in the middle of nowhere. Something's happening and you need to figure out why you're in this time loop and how to get out of it. It's very sort of psychological as you're here getting mandated psychiatric care, and you meet people, you find about the town, about all the people. You're forced into being a somewhat extreme character. Like when you pick your stats, you can't be a middle of the road kind of person. So I did like that. And I liked the puzzles of sort of how you go through the game and figure things out. It also has a very cool mind map that tracks all of the information that you've learned and everything that you're going to be working on. So there were a few points in the game where I felt like the game was really trying to drive home, you're in a time loop. This must be annoying. And it did get annoying. Like there was some points of it where I was like, all right, let's move things along now. But that really happened just like once at the very beginning and then once like at 75% through the game. For the most part, I really enjoyed it. I liked the writing and I just liked the mystery and how it was revealed and what the reveal was. The next game I played is called Somber Echoes. This is something I played on Xbox. It is by Rock Pocket Games. It came out earlier this year, and this is a Metroidvania that I really enjoyed. It has a very cool look. It reminds me of Grime, even though technically it doesn't look anything like Grime. I think it's just the sort of 2.5D kind of look that it has, but it takes place on a big spaceship, so it's got a sci-fi theme, but then you're also seeing all of these Greek gods and Greek myths as you're going through this ship. And I just really liked the setting overall. You have interesting abilities that I liked. One of them kind of works like Bash and Ori, where you can go up and you can like make yourself into a lantern and then hold down the button and shoot yourself in a certain direction. And as you go, you get so that you can do that a few times in a row. So you can really explore the levels and get in places you couldn't get at the beginning of the game. It's also where most of the sort of optional puzzles come in figuring out where to place those lanterns in order to get where you need to go. It has a fun combat system that involves things like throwing spears, which will make enemies take more damage from your regular sword attacks. It also has some ranged attacks. And though the combat system was good, I would say it was a big focus more on exploration and some platforming, or at least that sort of puzzle shooting yourself in different directions. I really liked the focus on exploration. It was a lot of fun. There was different collectibles to find, and I thought the game was just beautiful, and I really liked the environment. So yeah, Somber Echoes is a really good Metroidvania from this year, and I enjoyed it. The next game I played is called Burnhouse Lane, and this is one I played over on my Twitch stream on Adventure Sundays. This is by Harvester Games, who've previously made games like The Cat Lady, which I'm a huge fan of. This one came out in 2022 and it's on PC. And these are a series of horror point-and-click adventures, although there's not actually any clicking on things. I was able to play this with a controller, and you play a nurse who has terminal cancer, and she, at the beginning of the game, is thinking of killing herself. So it's very similar to The Cat Lady in a lot of ways. But instead, she ends up taking a job sort of out in the country, caring for an older man. And she meets this large burned cat who tells her that he can take away her cancer. She just needs to do some things for him first. It's a very sort of disturbing and surreal game. I love the art style and especially the use of color in these games. It's just really good and really vibrant. You're doing a lot of disturbing things and coming up against horrible people who are doing awful things to others and you. So it's definitely a bit of a extreme type of game. This one also combines a little bit more action. Like there's a little bit of combat, not too much. A little bit of platforming, which I definitely could have done without, but you have different abilities and you can sort of commune with cats and use their abilities as well. And I think it's just really good. Great writing, great music as well. And yeah, if you like very sort of dark, disturbing horror games, then I definitely recommend Burnhouse Lane and all of the Harvester games. Look at you. Do you have a brain? You don't have a brain. No, you don't. The next game I played is another brand new release called The Seance of Blake Manor, and this is one I played the demo of on stream a little while ago. This is by Spooky Doorway, and it is on PC, and I really liked this game. If I had to compare it to something, it's like a combination of The Last Express, the old PC adventure game, and like the Frog Wears Sherlock games, and that is absolutely my jam. It all takes place in Ireland and has a lot to do with Irish folklore and mythology, so you learn a lot as you're going through the game. You're a detective who is looking for a missing woman who's gone to Blake Manor to attend a seance. And as you are looking for her, you're questioning all the other people at this manor, finding out what's up with them, and realizing that this seance is bad news and you should probably direct everyone away from attending it. So you've got a number of sort of missions to do, from finding this character to finding out everyone's story. It's all done really well, and the thing that really drew me to this game is that it's all timed. Like, you have the course of a weekend to do this, and everything that you do, like every conversation topic you ask about, every item you interact with, takes 1 minute of time. Occasionally things will take more than 1 minute, but generally it takes a minute. So you're exploring. Every time you open a drawer and search it, it takes a minute. When you ask someone about the missing lady, it takes a minute. And you're just gathering all this information up. It's all stored very nicely in a journal. Again, it kind of uses a mind map to solve all of the mysteries that you're working on at any one time. And I just thought it was really, really well done. I enjoyed exploring the manor, getting to know everyone. The voice acting and the writing is very good. And the time element, I know that can stress people out while I thrive on it. It's not too bad. Like, I got to the last day and I was like, oh shit, I feel like I've wasted too much time. I've missed my chance, but I was still able to get the best ending and basically save everyone. I feel like as long as you're not asking every single person about every single thing, you're probably gonna turn out all right. The game also does a really good job of giving you little nudges, like you have to get into the missing woman's room, and I opened this mystery early on but started working on other things, and then my character started saying like, I should really try to get into her room. So it does sort of nudge you into the correct direction if you're putting things off for too long. My only real complaint about the game is that there are a lot of loading screens, and they're not particularly long, but just anytime you go through a doorway, there's a loading screen, and there is a lot of going back and forth through the house, so I would love if they kind of optimize that a little bit better, but otherwise, gameplay, story, all fantastic. I definitely recommend The Seance of Blake Manor. You're too cute. You're such a cute bear. Another game I played is called Little Goody Two Shoes, and this is by Astral Shift. It came out on PC in 2023. Where did I hear about this? I think Scotch was talking about this on the Trash Station podcast. And this is a strange game. When I heard about it, I thought immediately of Long Live the Queen, which is a simmy, very numbers heavy, like Queen simulator, which I just found out they made a successor to, and I'm so excited to play it. It didn't turn out to be exactly like that, but you're playing a woman or a young girl not a young girl, like a young woman, older girl, whatever, who lives in the forest, and everyone around is always scared of witches, and then she finds this other girl who might be a witch and is living with her, and then the devil's around and the devil's trying to get her. The story is very complicated, but you're basically going through different times of each day. I think there's like 6 time slots in each day. So you can go to town and you can take on a job, which gives you money. And you need money to buy food because you consume food every time period. And if you run out of food, you die. So you need to manage your hunger levels. You need to manage your stress levels. Things like that. You need to manage your suspicion because you're a lady who lives out alone, or now with another lady in the woods, and everyone obviously thinks you're a witch because, you know, what other explanation can there be? So you need to manage suspicion. You can go on dates only with ladies in the town, and you can try to sort of get a romance going. And then in the evening, in the witching hour, it gets a little more action-y, where you're going through a weird dream sequence and generally having to avoid taking damage. Like, it's dangerous, but there's no actual combat. You just need to avoid bad things. And I quite liked this at the beginning, although as I played more, it wasn't really for me. It was a little too talky for me. It was very anime. I didn't particularly like the more action-y scenes in the witching hour part of it, but it had some really cool things. I really liked the combination of different visual styles. Like, they did some interesting things. Sometimes it looked like a sort of top-down anime JRPG, but then all of a sudden it would look like things were puppets, or like things were hand-drawn with pencil crayons, and there'd be little musical numbers. And I thought just aesthetically, it was very good, even though gameplay-wise, it did sort of wear out its welcome for me before I actually got to the end. Though I did get to the end, and I'm pretty sure I got the bad ending. But yeah, Little Goody Two Shoes was a strange game that I appreciated some aspects of. Next game I played is another Metroidvania called Lone Fungus 2, another pretty new release. This is by Basti Games, and it came out on PC. I played the first Lone Fungus last year, I believe, and this one changes things up fairly considerably. The first game had sort of higher resolution graphics, still pixel graphics. It all took place underground, and it was very, very platforming focused. This game is definitely more combat focused. It's Castlevania focused, or inspired as well. You have a whip that you can go in multiple different directions. It has a nice map where you can take screenshots of things and attach them to the map, which is, I love that Prince of Persia feature, and I hope many games will use it, and they really do seem to be starting to use that right now. It has a story that I'm not particularly interested in. It has an interesting world. This one, you're not all underground, so there's much more variation in the environments with water levels and levels sort of up in the mountains and things. There are side quests that you can do. The combat is definitely more intricate with more interesting boss fights. One of the things that you can do is sort of jump up and pogo down onto something's heads to get rid of shields or make it take more damage, which was an interesting idea. I found that there was a little too much stuff in the game. Like, you get so many different weapons and equipment and charms to use, and there's just like an overabundance of them where you're never gonna be able to try all of them. And it got to the point where I'd get new equipment, and most of the time it was worse than the equipment that I already had. So it just did feel like it was very busy with stuff that wasn't really needed. However, the gameplay in general was good. I really enjoyed exploring the world. I think I found this one about on par with the first Lone Fungus, and I thought it was like a good game, but not one of my favorites. Next up, yet another Metroidvania, another brand new one. This is called Constance by BTF. It came out for PC. I think it's getting console releases later on. It just came out like maybe a week ago. I got it almost immediately. This is a Metroidvania where you play a girl who is very burnt out in her real life, which involves like computers and working in graphic design. And now she's gone into this very fantasy world where she's sort of working through her burnout. She uses a paintbrush to attack enemies, as well as to sort of travel through paint on the ground. Like, you can dash into a wall and use it to climb up and down walls and avoid obstacles and things like that. It has some pretty fun combat and some pretty interesting platforming. The platforming can actually get fairly complicated and more on the difficult side. For some reason, I don't know if this was a me problem or a game problem, but I am a diehard D-pad user for precision platforming, and I could not do this platforming with the D-pad. I found it very difficult, and then I switched to the stick, and I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. So I don't know if it's me, if it was the controller, if it was the game, but I had to play this one with the stick. It has some interesting puzzles in it. It also uses the feature where you can take a picture of something on the map and go back to it later so you can remember it. However, when it comes to the map is very bad. That's probably the worst part about this game. It's not nice to look at. It just shows big boxes on the screen, and each screen can be fairly large. So you've got this big box. It doesn't show you where you are in the box, like what doorways you're near. When you take a screenshot, it just gets pinned to the bottom of the box, so you don't know exactly where in the room that screenshot is. Yeah, just not a very usable map, which was my biggest complaint about it. But it was overall a fun game. Once I started using the stick, the controls were nice. I really like platforming challenges, and there were some very interesting ones to do. It also did another interesting thing where when you die, you have the option of going back to the last save point, where then you have to go back. There's no dropping your stuff when you die, thankfully. Or you can continue from the start of that room, but the enemies will get buffed and do more damage to you. So I thought that was just a really cool way of giving the player an option of doing a sort of risk-reward thing for if they want to continue on from where they are rather than going back to the save. This one was also a nice, concise game. I think I played about 9 hours of it, although I was only around 70% of the way through, so there was definitely more things to collect in terms of little upgrades that you can get for your character. I also completely missed one of the abilities somehow. I missed the double jump, which you'd think would be important. Turned out wasn't that important. But yeah, Constance was nice. It had a good story. It's got a very interesting art style, and I liked it. Next thing I played is called Four Last Things. I played this on my last stream. This is by Joe Richardson. It came out in 2017 for PC. This is the same developer who made a game called Return to Cavalry? I think it was Return to Cavalry, which was a very hilarious point-and-click adventure. The thing with these games is that they use old Renaissance paintings, and they take the backgrounds, they take the characters, and they use that for the whole game. So that's the entire art of the game. So you're walking around as a guy from a Renaissance painting, talking to other people. The concept of this one is that you have sinned and you go to a church and you're trying to confess your sins, but the bishops are like, oh no, you didn't do those sins in our jurisdiction. We can't forgive you. So if you want us to forgive you for all the sins, you have to do all the 7 deadly sins again, and then you can come and ask for forgiveness. So you're basically trying to go and commit lust and envy and sloth and everything. And it's just a very funny game. It was also on the short side. I think I finished it in about an hour and a half, but just very delightful. That kind of Monty Python / Monkey Island type of humor combined with just all this great Renaissance art, and it was great. And last but not least, something I just finished the other day. It is called Look Outside, and this is developed by Francis Colomb, and it came out earlier this year, and it's on PC. And this is a horror dungeon crawling role-playing game. It is it's a cosmic horror type of thing. So something has happened outside. Some visitor has appeared, and you're told, don't look outside because looking outside will make you crazy. So you're in your apartment building and you're basically just trying to survive. You're going through meeting all of your neighbors, a lot of whom have looked outside and now have changed in very odd ways. You're finding new characters to come with you. You're doing turn-based combat against the various monsters that you find in the world. You're solving people's problems. You're finding your things. You're getting keys so that you can access more of the building. And it's a really good game. I really had a lot of fun with it. When you start out, there are 2 difficulty options. One is the much more survival horror where you can only save once a day and things are harder. I was not interested in that. I took the more casual mode where I could save wherever I liked, and I think combat was easier, and I enjoyed that a lot. I thought that the writing was good. The art is great. A lot of it is very sort of disturbing and gross and just looks really cool. I did find, especially near the end of the game, I was getting a little bit tired of the combat. You can get various weapons and equipment to make yourself stronger. I always just use the optimized character in order to pick what you were doing. Your weapons break, which can get annoying, but I really liked just what you were doing, exploring this creepy old building, getting access to more of it, going through the parking garage, and seeing all of these weird creatures that have taken over everything. I think it took me around 13 or 14 hours to get my first ending. I was pretty thorough in terms of everything that I was doing. But yeah, I was pretty hooked on this game for the last week or so. So yeah, Look Outside was very enjoyable. All right, I think that's it for games played. I don't think I've considered that I've retired anything so far this or last month. Thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you've been playing, if there are any 2025 games that I haven't talked about that you think I would like, that I should play before I start making all of my end of year content. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Do you want to see more? Check out one of my other videos here. If you want to help support the channel, I have a Patreon, or you can become a channel member. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.